Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Christina from Our Wood Home. This is the second video in my winter wardrobe series. I've got a few more left to make and I've already made part one. In this video I'm not going to be showing much of the sewing because it's pretty much sewn the same way as my previous dress, the pink stretchy one. So I'm just going to be talking more about design and that kind of thing in this video. I hope that you still enjoy it and find it interesting. And I hope it gives you a little bit of a peek into how I come up with the style of dress that I'm going to be making, just in general. So this is a corduroy dress. It's a full-length, full-sleeve dress, and I hope that you enjoy seeing how this comes together. I have had requests to make this an option in my Etsy shop. I'm still considering that, but I will kind of keep everyone updated on my social media through my blog and my Etsy shop. So anyways, let's get into this video. So here is my corduroy dress cutout. I'm not sure how well the color is showing up. In the store it looked sort of like a reddish color, a dark red. And then when I got home and looked at it again, it was more of an orangey red, but after washing it and drying it and looking at it in the light of day, it kind of looks like a purplish wine color. I don't know, either way, I like it. I think it's a nice color for winter and fall as well. So this is the outside of the fabric with the corduroy, and then this is just the inside. And I didn't realize this when I bought it, but it actually has a little bit of stretch. I can't stretch it with one hand, but I'm pleasantly surprised about that. So I haven't quite decided on the style yet. I think I know what I want to do, but I'm not sure. But I'm making it in the basic way that I make most of my dresses, which is a bodice that's just straight cut on the sides, and a sort of high front neckline, not super high, probably around collarbone, maybe a little bit lower. And I do it sleeveless and then have the sleeves to set in later. The skirt, this will be the waist part, I just haven't cut it yet, but it'll just have two straight side seams and then be wide across the bottom and gathered across the top to fit into the bodice here. I do have long sleeves in mind, but I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm thinking of doing gathered sleeve cuffs because this is wider than I need it to be, but I'm thinking of doing them gathered, maybe with a separate little cuff and then like a button closure. I don't know. I might end up just making this more narrow so that it fits my waist or my wrist a little bit better and it's not something that requires a closure, but I decided to cut it big because if I don't like it with the gathers, I can always, like I said, just take it in a bit. That's easier than adding fabric. And then with the bodice, I was thinking of doing like a pinafore style, like lower in the front, but I don't really like the straps that are on typical pinafore dresses. It's usually like a thin strip of fabric that comes down the front, and the pinafores I've seen are either square neckline or they are scooped a little bit. And then the straps extend down the back, and the back of the bodice is quite low. I'm just not a fan of that because I feel like I'd be fiddling with it too much, trying to make sure it's not gaping and that my leggings or my shirt underneath aren't showing. So I might end up doing a pinafore style with some different fabric, maybe just lower armholes and maybe a little bit lower of a neckline so that the shirt I'm wearing underneath is visible. But I have some interesting details planned for this bodice. I'm thinking of doing a faux button placket down the front just for visual interest. And I'm also considering doing the button placket down the front of the skirt as well. But I don't know yet. I'm not sure how that's gonna look. But that's what I'm planning. We'll see how it goes. I'm thinking of doing ties at the waist as well, but I might, instead of doing them like here where the skirt and the bodice meet, having them come off the side and tie in the back, I'm thinking of maybe doing a band, a narrow band here, attaching it, sewing it down to the front, and leaving it loose so that I can tie it behind. But as I said, I don't know. I've got options and I'll figure it out once I actually start sewing, and once the overall bodice and skirt design is finished, then I can play around with finishing details. So next time I see you, this will probably look more like a dress. I've already pinned the neckline raw edges down, just a double rolled edge, so I'm just gonna sew around there. I've got the sides of the skirt pinned together, so I'll sew up there and cut open that piece along the fold for the waist. And then I've got the hem of the skirt pinned as well, which I will just sew straight across. So until then, I will get to sewing and show you what I come up with after. I decided to do a faux button placket down the front of my dress. In the past, I've just cut out a rectangle strip of fabric and folded the two side seams, or the two side edges underneath itself, sewed it down, and I can actually just show you what I mean. Okay, let's go to my closet. I'm wearing a quick Christmas sweater because it is December and I like wearing Christmas sweaters. So this placket is a separate strip of fabric. I folded these two edges under and sewed them down. And then I pinned this strip to the bodice of my dress, sewed it along the neckline here, and then sewed it again down the sides just to make it look more like a placket. And then for this part, I just kept it extra long so that when I put the skirt on, it covers that area nicely. So this is one way to do it, just with a separate strip of fabric. But what I did here, I made the neckline too wide, and it was just kind of hanging off my shoulders in an awkward way. So I decided just to put a little tuck on the back as well as the front. And then when I saw how it looked up here, I thought, oh, I can just continue that crease either side and make it look like a placket, and then I don't have to do an extra strip of fabric. So I'm just gonna sew, I sewed along here to keep this part in place, and then I'm just gonna sew down the sides, making sure that they're even. This area is not even, so I need to refold that to make sure it's symmetrical. But I'll just sew down either side with my machine, and then I'm just going to hand sew some buttons on just for extra detail, because it is a button placket after all. And I'll just make sure the buttons are evenly spaced. But I think this is going to work nicely. I will check in with you once that part's done. I'm not showing every step of the sewing because honestly, it slows me down a lot. And the way I make my dresses is pretty much the same with every dress. So you can check out my previous dress video for details about that process. All right, so here's how the placket looks when it's sewn. I'm not sure how well that's showing up on camera, but you can definitely see it's in the center there. Or maybe it looks off center. It's because I didn't put the top on my dress form properly. I just kind of draped it there. But anyways, you can see the two lines of stitching here. In theory, I should have used a matching thread for this fabric, but I had black, so that's what I did, and I think it looks okay. It's not super visible. So for the buttons, I'm thinking of using these. Let me try to pin it on. I don't like to commit to a button or a style or something right away, so I usually put the garment on my dress form, let it sit for a few days and just keep looking at it and then decide what I want to do. Same with the buttons. I don't have a lot of buttons. I've been slowly using them over the years, but I think those will work. I am going to put a button right at the top and then just space them out evenly. I've got 4 buttons to work with, so that should be fine. But yeah, that's how it's looking so far. I did notice it was a little tricky to sew the seams down here because I had to make sure that I didn't accidentally catch the back of the bodice. So if you are doing this, I suggest doing what I did for the dress I already showed you, which was to put this piece on before attaching the front and the back together. It was just a little bit easier. Typically when I make a bodice, I first sew the neckline in place, and then I attach the front and the back of the bodice together at the shoulders. And then I will set in the sleeves along here. And then what I do is pin the sleeve seam and the side seam on the bodice and just sew that together, which I just find a little bit easier and less fiddly than sewing the whole bodice, including the side seams shut, and then trying to fit the sleeves in. But if that works for you, great. That's what I used to do, and I just found it didn't work as well as I liked, but it's just a personal preference. So next time I see you, or I guess next time you see me, I will have the skirt attached to the bodice. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the sleeves. I just left them unhemmed and raw for now, but I was thinking of maybe doing like a separate cuff. I think I might have talked about this before, but I'm thinking of doing a separate little cuff and gathering the sleeve here, just a few gathers so that it's more narrow and fitted to my wrist, but a little bit puffier up here. So I'll do the gathers and then attach that to a separate cuff and then have a button closure, but I'm not sure. I think that might just annoy me because it's fiddly and I'd have to mess with it to get the sleeve closed. So I might, if I do that style, I might just do a snap closure instead of an actual button and then just have a decorative button, but I'm not sure. I think I will try the dress on with the sleeves as they are, and then decide from there. I have my bodice and the skirt ready to pin together so that I can sew them and attach them. I'm gonna try to show you how I attach the two pieces, because when I tried to do that for my pink dress sewing video, I didn't push record on my phone. So that was kind of frustrating because I tried to very clearly show how to do this step. So I'm gonna try again. Hopefully this works and you can see what I'm doing. All right, so what I did, there we go. What I did to attach the two pieces together is have the skirt the right way, right sides out, and then I turned the bodice inside out and slid it down the front of the skirt. So I made sure to line up the side seams of the bodice and the side seams of the skirt and pinned those in place on both sides. And then I'm going to go around and pin the rest of these edges together, making sure everything's nice and straight. So then when you turn the dress right side out, you'll have a nice smooth edge there. And I will say, in case anybody comments on my unfinished edges here, I will be finishing those with my serger. It's just in for repair right now and I won't get it back until the new year. So until then, I'm just going to carefully wear my garments and try not to wear them out too much before I can get that serging done on those raw edges there. But if you don't have a serger, you can still finish the edges just with a zigzag stitch on your regular sewing machine. So here is the finished dress. Well, finished minus the sleeve cuffs, because I still can't decide what to do about them, although I am leaning towards the little gathers with the separate button cuff. But anyways, so I finished the dress, and I decided not to do the belt or ties at the waist, and instead just put an elastic in. So what I did was just turned the dress inside out again and sewed an elastic into the waist where I'd already attached the bodice and the skirt. And this worked really well. I just took my waist measurement and, well, I stretched an elastic around my waist until it was a comfortable tightness, and then cut it from there and then attached it in. It was very easy, a little bit time consuming, but it was easy. Anyways, I really like how this dress turned out. I like the length of it. I like the width of the skirt. Because it has a little bit of stretch, that means that I can walk comfortably with my large strides, and I can use this as a skating dress or hiking or anything like that. This is my first time making a dress out of this type of corduroy. I have done a few like sleeveless dresses with a thicker corduroy, but this one is a bit thinner, and I really like how it turned out. It was pretty easy to work with, and I'm definitely going to get some more of this fabric and make myself some extra dresses. So about the construction of it, I didn't mention in the video clips earlier, but I think you probably guessed it. I did gather the skirt to fit the width of the bottom edge of the bodice. Just like with all my dresses, I prefer a wider skirt so that there's more room and it's not clingy or anything like that. And I just do the side seams perfectly straight and then just put a gathering stitch in on my machine. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but I just use a straight stitch and set the stitch length and width to the biggest setting it'll go, and then sew along the top edge of the skirt and then cut the thread, and then just pull that thread until the skirt top is as wide as the bottom of the bodice, and then I'll put them together and sew them like I showed you in the previous clip. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was a little bit different from my other sewing video, but as I said already, I pretty much sew all my dresses the same way, so showing you constant footage of the same type of sewing just seems a little bit redundant to me. And this was a little bit different because I showed you how I kind of come up with the style of dress that I want to make. And it's definitely an interesting process. I changed my mind a lot with this dress, but I'm happy with the style that I ended up with. To me, it feels very Christmassy and wintry and all that sort of stuff, so that's definitely something I'm enjoying about this dress. It's very comfortable to wear and it's very warm. Thank you again for watching. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment, and if you like what you see, I hope that you consider subscribing. I have a few more videos in this winter wardrobe series, and then I'll be doing a final video showing you all the things that I've made for my handmade winter wardrobe. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day.